Hello everyone, Xandero Gaming coming at y'all with another video, and we are doing another deck profile video for everyone. And you know, this is going to be pre-release weekend for the Unionarena trading card game, and we are finally getting Sword Art Online introduced into the game. And with that, that means we're going to get a lot of really cool decks that we can, you know, build from this set. So I was going to give you guys a, you know, decent little deck profile video going over a yellow deck that you could build from the set. This goes based off of one of the later seasons in the show with the Integrity Knights, and this focuses on Kirito, Alice, and Eugeo from the Integrity Knights. And this is a really cool deck. It is definitely a combo-based deck. Again, similar to the green deck profile I just made going over Kirito and Seinen. It seems like Kirito is obviously the star of the show, which he is definitely the main character. And these decks seem to want to have him on the board, and then you get more value on the other characters by having him on the board. So that in turn makes them to be combo decks related. But excuse me, if your opponent can break your board, I feel like these decks can maybe be a little fragile. But let's just go through the deck profile. I will start off with the raid characters, the big characters that you're trying to see. Then we'll go into our events and sites, and then round out with the smaller bodies, just to give you a little bit better of an idea of what you're trying to do in the deck. So we are going to run 3 of this Kirito. It is really important to have a Kirito on the board, and the deck does only have, at the moment, 2 different Kiritos you can play. We're running 4 of the 0-drop Kirito that has Step. It's very unfortunate that he is not a get trigger, which is going to make it hard for you to keep a Kirito on the board. But this Kirito right here is strong himself. He is 4 energy, 2 action point. He is himself is a get trigger, so you will see this one. He generates you 1 energy, 3500 BP. And then you get to play this character set to active onto your field. If Alice and Eugeo are on your front line, this character gains double attack. So very dangerous 3500 BP double attacker. If you have Alice and Eugeo, regardless, it'll come out active. If there are turns where you get to have both of them out and him out, you're probably pushing for game, or if not game, you're getting 5 swings in, which is really scary on your opponent. Nice that it just has to be them in name and not their raid characters. So this is the main character that you're going to want to see on the board, helping you push your plays. I do think just running 3 of it at the moment on this list build that I'm doing is a good way to go, because he costs you 4 energy, but the Alice just costs 5, so we're having to run a couple of double energy generators in the deck. But if you wanted to take down one of the events, I'll show you later, that I put in the deck to just bump him up out of 4 so you see it, then that is perfectly fine, and probably maybe a better case to do, just so you have 8 copies maxed out of the Kiritos. That is the Kirito, and everyone else's effects are based off of him, right? So we're going to touch off of Alice. Beautiful art design on Alice. Such a really cool, pretty character in the show. Alice, Synthesis 30. She is in Integrity Knights. She is 5 energy, 1 action point, 4000 BP, and generates you 1 yellow energy. She does have raid trigger in life. This card is also treated as Alice because she's named Alice, but her full name is Synthesis 30. Alice, you can raid on top of Alice cards. When played, choose up to 1 character with 2000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. So you get to pop a small body if Kirito or Eugeo is on your front line. 3000 or less BP instead. If both Kirito and Eugeo are on your front line, 4000 or less BP. So this gives the deck a really good way to clear the board, because you're going to have special triggers, and then you're going to have Alice's. So that is essentially, you know, 8 copies of, you know, ways to clear your opponent's board, which is really good. Awesome to see. Glad to see that this deck is going to be powerful enough to clear out your opponent's board, which is just really good, right? Like, your opponent has to have bodies on the board to stay into the game, and Alice helps you clear them out. So it understandably is why she is 5 cost, because she is going to blow something up. Running 4 of her, and we are running 4 of the boy Eugeo, Synthesis 32, Integrity Knights. This card is also treated as Eugeo. He is 4000 BP, 1 energy generation. He raids on top of Eugeo, and he has a lot going on, a lot of keywords. He has Impact himself, so he always has Impact 1, 4000 BP, which we've seen how important Impact is in the game. It is so strong, having Impact on anything that is 4000 or more, and it's just such a good effect to have on cards, because it puts your opponent in a tough spot where they really don't want to trade with you, because it's really not a trade. Like, if you if you go to try to block, like it just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. Impact is good. I just want to go with the deck profile. I always have a lot to say about things, and I'm trying to go on a spill about how good Impact is. It's really good. Glad he has it. And he also has Nullify Impact. So there is a lot of Impact in the game, as you can see with himself having Impact. So Nullify Impact is really, really strong, being able to keep your opponent in a lot of these One Punch Man decks from being able to, push all this damage on you. And then also he has Win Sideline, choose up to 1 Kirito, and up to 1 Alice on your front line. They each gain 1000 BP and Nullify Impact until the end of the turn, which is really, really strong. So you can block with him and then boost the other two by 1000, and then also give them Nullify Impact. So I do think that this would be, just this guy alone helps this deck be a pretty good matchup into the One Punch Man Impact decks, because you're able to stop those swings from going in, and then maybe being able to crack back on them the next turn. But Eugeo is a really good card. He is one of your other raids. A little unfortunate that the Kirito is not a raid. I think that would have made this deck a little more consistent, but they wanted the stars of the show to be Eugeo and Alice, because Kirito is in every other deck in the set, and he's in all the colors, so that makes a little sense that they wanted this deck to be based around the Integrity Knights, the Synthesis characters. Now, going to the events and sites, we are running 4 of the Homemade Pie. This is just your 4 final triggers. You have to run these. And we are running 4 of our special trigger, which is really, really good. The Osmanthus Blade. Really cool special trigger in life. Choose 1 character with 3000 less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it, which is really, really strong. But if Alice is on your field, 5000 or less BP, so clearing most bodies in the game. Really strong kill spell here. We're going to run 2 of the Searcher card, which is Memory of the 3 Children, 3 energy, 1 action point. It is a draw trigger in life, which is nice to get a draw trigger in yellow for sure. And then it says, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 2 Kirito, Alice, or Eugeo cards among them. Add them to your hand, replace the remaining cards at bottom deck. I do like this card in this particular version of the deck, since you do have to have specific names of characters. I'm not a huge fan of cards like this in other decks. It really just is very deck dependent on if you want to run searchers like this, because in most cases you just want bodies, right? But since this one gives you 2 and you don't have to trash anything, and it does help you get specific names, since you do want specific names on the board, this is a great card for the deck. And like I said, I am including 1 copy of this Gigas Cedar, which is a really, really cool art from the show here, showing the characters with the tree swinging through on it. It is a get trigger in live, and it says activate main, switch to resting, sideline this card. Draw 2 cards. You can only activate this ability if Eugeo with 4000 or more BP is on your field. So this Eugeo is 4000 BP here, so if you have him out, then you can do it. I do think that this is just a nice option to have later in the game. That way you can, refill your hand. I do think maybe putting this at a 2 of is a little much, but I think at a 1 of, it's a fine card to see. If you see it, awesome. If it's in your life, it's in your hand now that you have it, and it just gives you a chance to draw 2 cards, which can really help you out later in the game when you feel like you're stuffed for cards in your hand. I do want to feel like, after I test the deck some, to try to find a way to put this at a 2 of and the Kirito at a 4 of, but we will work on that. Now we are running Fantasio, or Fantasio. I know that they say this name very interesting show. I'm just pronouncing it very horribly wrong right here. But Fantasio Synthesis 2 is an Integrity Knights, and it is a 3 energy, 1 action point character, 3000 BP. But the main reason to run this card is because it does generate us double energy. And since Alice is 5 energy, we are going to have ways to put out double energy generators to get to that coveted 5 energy. And this is one of the cards we're going to do. Even with the 3000 BP, you really don't want to play this at the front line, because you want to keep this in an energy line. It is a draw trigger in life, which is fantastic. And then it says, when played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline, which is free cycle through your deck to help you find these characters, because like I said, you do want all 3 of Eugeo, Alice, and Kirito in your hand or on the board. We are running 4 of Alice, Synthesis 30. This is the 3 energy, 1 action point cost card, 3000 plus BP. Meaning we're getting a boost. It is a double energy generator, and you have to run it a 4 of, because this is your color trigger, and we know color trigger in yellow is so busted. Definitely the best color trigger in the game, if you ask me. I love yellow color triggers because it's really taking a body down twice, essentially, whereas, other triggers, maybe pop a body or play out 1 character out. This essentially is making a character useless for, 2 turns worth. And she has, this is treated as Alice. It does have step, which is awesome, so you don't feel bad for putting her up to apply some pressure to your opponent and then moving her back to fix your energy. It says, during your turn, if Kirito and Eugeo are on your field, this character gains 1000 BP, which you want both of them on the field, so that way you can play out the Kirito and get the double attack. So hopefully you have everybody on the field at the same time. Running 4 of her, we are going to run Tease at a 2 of. This is just going to be our, when active, it gains double energy generation. She does cost you 2 energy, 1 action point, 2500 BP, and she generates 1. But as long as she's active, she gives you 2, which is an easy way to help us get this energy generation. So you can see here we're running 2, 4, 8, 10. So 10 sources of double energy should be efficient enough since we only run 1 character that has 5. But we want to run enough, and that is why we are running some of these other cards. Now I am only running 3 of the 2-drop, 2 energy, 1 action point drop Eugeo. Because he does not have a trigger, but he has 3000 BP and he does generate you 1 energy. And he says, when played, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Kirito or Alice card among them out of your hand, place remaining cards at bottom deck in any order. If you added a card to your hand, place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. I'm not a huge fan of searchers like this, but in this deck where we do need to see these other cards, we do have to run this guy. I do wish that he at least had a draw or a get trigger, something along the lines, but only running 3 of this Eugeo, just not good enough to be at a 4-0, to be honest. And we have other Eugeos to help us keep that name count. And once again, we are only running 3 of this Alice because she does not have a trigger in life. This is your 1 energy, 1 action point, 2500 BP, 1 energy generation Alice. And she does have SEP, so this one is going to be, you know, pretty important to see early to put a body out and then fix your energy line whenever you need to. But I don't think that her not having a trigger hurts it a little bit. And we'd rather just max out on our 0 drops. We are going to run 2 of Ronnie, a really cute character in the show. This is your double energy generator that makes you bounce a character with 1 or less required energy to your hand. If you can not, you return this character to your hand. 1 energy, 1 action point to play 1500 BP. This is just going to be your double energy generator. You should almost never move her up unless you're in a bind. We're running 4 of this Kirito. He does not have a trigger, like we said earlier. 0 energy, 1 action point, 2500 BP. Gives you 1 energy. He does have steps, so this can be pretty versatile. Kirito and the Alice having step means that you could play them down early on the front line, maybe get some ping damage in or use them as some blockers to keep your life safe, and then whenever you're ready to go into your raid characters, move them back down with the step, and then be able to raid and then, you know, pop off into your plays. 4 of the 0 energy, 1 action point. Alice, she is 1500 BP. She generates you 1 energy. She is a get trigger, which is amazing, and she just says that this card is also treated as Alice, but you needed to say that so you can raid on top of her. We are going to run 4 of the 0 energy, 1 action point Eugeos, which is 500 BP, 1 energy generation. He is our active trigger, which is awesome to have an active trigger in yellow. And then when played, choose it to 1 other character on your field. It gains 1000 BP until the end of the turn. So you can use this Eugeo in tandem with the 2-drop Eugeo if you really need to boost him up to 4000 to proc the Cedar, Giga Cedar tree down here to get the 4K to trash it to draw 2. So it's a little combo that you can do, or if you're just into your big Eugeo anyways, then you can just do it regardless. What was I gonna say here? Oh, yeah, I already talked about the combo with the Gigas tree. Interesting enough that like this Eugeo is just Eugeo, all of us knowing that Alice is the synthesis card, and then later you see that Eugeo gets his synthesis form in the 32, which is why they don't have to say that this card is treated as Eugeo on these 2 versions of the card. Only in the synthesis does he have to have that wording to say that this card is also treated as Eugeo, because it is Eugeo Synthesis 32 and not just Eugeo. So just remember that when you are playing the game, you don't have to worry about their names too much, because the ones that you wouldn't be able to grab otherwise say that they have you know, also treated as that in name, which is what this Alice says. This does seem to be a really cool and interesting deck. I definitely look forward to seeing people play this one. I will build it only because like I love the way Alice looks. I think she's a beautiful card art and really cool character, and I do think that this deck can do some interesting things. I just think that it's missing a little bit of something, and I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't been able to test the deck yet, but I am excited to build it, and I do think it's going to be a good deck. But I just maybe wish that it had some more, you know, triggers on these bodies that you need to see, since these bodies are so important Really the only thing I would ask for is I would even take the step away just to give these characters get or draw triggers, so that way you can see them. Your little bodies of the 0 Kirito, the 1-drop, 2-drop Eugeo, and Alice don't have triggers, so you're going to have a hard time finding them if they're in your life, right? Because then now you're only left with the 0 drops, and then a couple of copies of the Alice. Fortunate enough, they gave us another version of her also in here. So Alice is going to be your main one, having 3 different forms, whereas the Eugeo is just the 2 other forms, and the Kirito is only 1 other form, but he's not a raid target, so it's not as important. I do think this can be a really cool deck. You know, let me know if you guys are excited to build this deck. Let me know what you guys think about this deck profile. I'm really excited for Sword Art Online to get here. I will be heading up to my local game store, Omni Cards and Collectibles and Gaming, that we have here in Moultrie, Georgia. I'm gonna have a lot of fun, you know, getting the structure decks, buying a couple boxes, and looking forward to building some decks out of it. But I want to hear what you guys are gonna build. Let me know in the comments down below what y'all are gonna build, what you're most excited for from this set. I want to hear it all. Please leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone hanging out with me today. Peace.